minutes past, so we'll make it start. All right, so yeah, for those of you who've joined, so my name is Derek. I'm one of the CoolCare trainers. Um, so today we're going to have a look at, as it says on the screen, getting the most from CoolCare HR related widgets. There's a couple of little PowerPoint things I have to go through now. It's only a couple of screens and we'll be through it. It's not long. So CoolCare is here to make operating your care home easier, more efficient, and more profitable. During the session, if you want to ask some questions, at the top of your Zoom screen, you should have this button here, Q&A, questions and answers. And we have Sam, the other trainer, hiding on there from you all, waiting to answer your question. So while I'm talking, if you type your question in there, he'll hopefully be able to answer that for you. At the end of the session, we've built in a bit of time so you can continue to ask questions on the Q&A as well. Okay, so what are we doing exactly today? We're going to be looking at HR-related dashboard widgets. We're going to be looking at DBS, or if you're from Scotland, it's called PVG, and PINs. We're going to be looking at probation and inductions, appraisals, and supervisions, and we'll also have a look at the staff missing information report. Let me jump into CoolCare. I can do this okay. Oh, that's it. Good, we're in. So I've moved the 4 widgets we're going to talk to up here in my list so they're easy to find. So the first one we're going to have a look at is DBS, or as said in Scotland, PVG and PINs. So the first one we're going to talk about is where does it get its information for this widget? It actually gets its information from 2 places because it's showing the DBS and it's showing PINs inside the one widget. So let's go there. Click up. I'm going to go to staff. I'm going to go to staff record. Let's use Carol. And let's go to HR.
Derek was still on the other screen. I can still see his presentation.
Oh, sorry. So thank you very much. I know exactly what's happened. Let me go back, and you know what I've done as well, don't you? We won't tell anybody else. There we go. Thank you very much, Sam. So yes, the dashboard. We're on the dashboard. Let's go back to that. You can now see my dashboard. You can now see the 4 widgets here. And that's the DBS and PINs one we're going to have a look at. So, okay, so where does it get its information from? We go to care home. We go to, care home. We go to staff. We go to staff records, and we go to a staff member. I'll use Carol, and we'll use HR and employment. That's where we'll find our DBS information and where we'll find our PIN information. Now with the DBS information, if you look, if I change that person's DBS issue date, let's change it to something really obvious. Let's change it to the 1st of Jan, 2023. The DBS expiry date is automatically changed or entered as the 1st of the 1st, 2025, 2 years time. So there is a setting inside CoolCare and a system setting, which in my one is set for an interval of 2 years between the issue date and the expiry date. Now, whoever is that kind of audits or does the admin for your system, they can change that interval to whatever interval you require. But it is set for everybody in the system. So if now I jumped into mine and changed mine to say to 6 months rather than 2 years, every single DBS one that I entered, when I put the issue date in, it would jump to 6 months from here on. But that's for the whole system. Our PIN one is much easier. It's simply an expiry date. So I can pick whatever date I want. Let's pick that one there. And it just puts in the expiry date. Now let's go back and have a look at the widget itself and see what that widget is up to. So that widget is showing me here, anything in red is where something's expired or something's missing. So it's telling me here DBS, it's telling me, oh look, the DBSs, we haven't even put them in, they're missing. It's telling me here, these DBSs have expired, I need to go and do something with them. Over here, you can say it's telling me the same about the PINs. And if I scroll down, you'll see, oh, there you go. There's some DBSs down here as well. And there's our PINs. But let's go a bit further down. We've also got orange and we've got white. So an orange one is showing you something that's going to expire today. You can see that 18th to the 7th, that's going to expire today. And down here below that, the white ones are ones that haven't expired yet, but they're coming up to expire. So these widgets don't just tell you stuff. They're there to hopefully help you be able to solve problems. So let's have a look. Let's hop up here to the very top. And let's have a look at Elaine book. It tells us that her DBS is missing. So let's click on that. It not only takes us to Elaine's record, it takes it straight into employment under HR. It's taken us right to the area we need to be in. So sorry, let's go to DBS here, and I'm going to put a DBS issue date in. Let's look at that. We'll put in, oh, there you go. First, it jumps to 2 years' time. And if we save that, and we go back to the dashboard, we should see Elaine book has vanished. If I do that with Neve, we have a problem with our PIN number. So let's go to Neve. There we go. And if I now go to down here to pins, you'll see the expiry date is in the past. So let's put a future expiry date in. Let's save that. And let's go back to the dashboard. Straight away, we'll see that Neve. Oh, let me try that again. I did something wrong. Let's do Neve. I probably didn't save it. Let's put in the expiry date. Yes, that's what I did. I didn't save it. Let's push that forward. There we go. Let's make it 23. Now let's save that. And we'll find when we go back to the dashboard, hopefully, yes, Neve name has disappeared because we've updated it. Let's look at staff incomplete probations, because that's just slightly different, not a big difference. But with this one, where is it getting its information from? It's getting its information from basically the same place. If I go to staff and staff records, and I go to Carol, and I go to HR, I go to employment. And here in the employment section in employment, this is where we have our probation end date. Now, what makes it disappear off the list is when you say they passed the probation. So you put in a probation, an end probation date of the 1st of July. So it's now the 4th of July, that'll appear on the widget. If I click pass probation, that will take it off. We'll do that in a second. But also, if maybe you weren't too sure about this person, you think, oh no, I'm going to change I'm going to give them another 3 months probation. So I change it to the 1st of September, whatever it might be. That will also take them off the widget, or it might move them out of the red zone into the white zone. Let's go and look at that now. Get back to my dashboard. There are staff incomplete probations. Again, we have our red stuff in the future. Sorry, the stuff that's expired completely. This one here is going to expire today, and these are the ones that are coming up to expiring. Let's do Edwina. Again, I click on Edwina. Again, it takes me straight to the right area, Edwina's record, into employment. And in the employment section, in employment, if I do pass probation, and we save that. Let's see, can I do this one successfully? Here we go. There you go. You can see Edwina has vanished from there. So the pass probation, the incomplete probation one is a pretty simple one. The next one, though, is completely different from the other three. So this one is staff incomplete inductions. Now, it never goes red. And if everything's done right, you never actually have to do anything to make people disappear off this. Because what is shown here, look at Sinead. It's saying her end induction date is today, it's the 18th. Tomorrow is the 19th. So what will happen tomorrow is Sinead will automatically disappear off that widget because her end date is past. So if you have your start induction and your end induction dates in, once today's date passes the end date, it disappears off the widget. You have to do nothing. These ones will never have a red section. But see down here, it says date missing. So for Philip Archer, it can't take him off the system. It can't take him off the widget because it doesn't have an end date to calculate on. So we'll have to give it something to get rid of Philip. So let's click on Philip and let's see what's going on with his record. Again, click on Philip. It will take me to the right area. If I come down here to induction start, oh, hang on, there isn't even a start date. So if there isn't a start date and an end date, how did it work out the start date? What it did, it took the date the person started. So on the widget, it was showing that date as the date, start date from the induction, because it didn't know what else to do. It didn't put a date in here because it doesn't actually know what the start date is. But if I actually said, well, you know what, his induction started on the 15th. And I forgot to say, we finished it on the 17th, which was yesterday. I save that. Here we go. Let's go to our dashboard. Let's come down here. And you can see if I go to there, Philip has disappeared. So remember, staff incomplete inductions, there's nothing you really have to do. If you put in your induction start and end date, the system will automatically let these people move up this list and then drop off the list. The last of the widgets is appraisals and supervisions. Another one of these ones is the same, but it's not the same. So it's looking at two different things. It's looking at appraisals and supervisions. You can see here it says that supervision is overdue, and here it's saying the appraisals are overdue. Where does it get its information from? Almost the same, but again, slightly different. If I go to staff record, we go to Carol, and we go to HR, and there's appraisals and supervisions. Click on that. And you can see here, she's had previous supervision sessions entered, and she's had appraisals. So the one we just, that she said was overdue, but is the appraisal. So what I'm going to do is, oh, actually, is it? Let me go back. Let me go pick someone. Let's go back to our dashboard for a second. Let's pick someone on here who's red. Because again, on here, we have the same. We've got red for overdue. We have these orange ones for ones that are going to go overdue today. And the ones in white, again, are the ones that are okay now, but will become overdue if we don't do something with them. Let's have a look at, well, let's use Rose. I'm going to use Rose Flowers. She says there's an appraisal and it's due today. So let's go and sort that one out. Click on that. It takes us to our friend Rose. There's a supervision session, which she's had, but it's the appraisal we need to put in. I'm going to do insert. In here, I can pick a supervision or an appraisal. I'm going to pick an appraisal. I'm going to say, actually, it was done yesterday. But watch. When I say it was done yesterday, look at the next appraisal date it's put in. It's put in the 17th of the 7th, 2024. So that's a whole year. The same as with the DBS one. In the system, there's a date. There's an interval you can set. And on my one, it's set to a year. So whoever does your admin can set that interval, but it's set for the whole system. So you can't have a situation where you might say, oh, well, the appraisal interval for my office staff is a year, or the appraisal for my domestic staff is 6 months. It doesn't do that. You've only got one setting for your appraisal. And my one happens to be a year. Okay, let's save that. Oh, sorry, by the way, if I change that to supervision just to show you, if I put in a date here, let's just pick a different date. We'll pick the 23rd. You see what it does, 23rd of the 10th. So my supervision one is set to 3 months. So I can have a different interval for appraisals. Mine's a year, a different one for supervisions. Mine's 3 months, but it's for everybody. It's for the whole system. Okay, let me just change that back to what it should be so we can make sure Rose disappears. There we are. If I save that, oh yes, I've got to say who did the appraisal. I'm going to pick someone there. I can also say about the staff member or supervisor's signature, but let's save that. I should let's save it now. Good. Let's go back to our dashboard. Remember, it was Rose Flowers. And if we come down here, we should find that Rose has disappeared. But there is something else this does. If we look at Paula Waters, it says her appraisal is due today. Okay, that seems to be the same. But let's go to her record, see what happens. Oh, look, she's never had a previous appraisal. She's never had a previous supervision. So how did it know that she was due today? What it's done is it's looked at the date that she joined, 18th to the 7th. There it is, next appraisal date, 8th to 7th, 2023. So sorry, 22, 23. That's how it's worked it out. Okay, that makes sense. So I could put in my my appraisal now. But hang on, what your supervisions are not a year, they're 3 months. Well, where's that gone? Look, next supervision date was back on the 18th of the 10th, 2022. But why wasn't that on the widget? Let's go back and look at our widget. I'm not going to update this, I'm not going to change it. Let's go back to our widget for a second. Okay, so there we are. Paula Waters appraisal due today. But look, up the very top, Paula Waters has been waiting for a supervision from the 18th to the 10th. She appears on it twice. If someone joins and you haven't done appraisal or supervision before, it'll take the date that they started from. It'll take whatever interval you've set in your system, and it'll say that's the date, say 3 months, 4 months, whatever it might be, for the supervision, a year or whatever for their appraisal. Okay, so the 4 widgets that we have just had a look at, we got one more thing to have a look at as well, but just to go back over them, our DBS and pins, it'll show you where it's missing. DBS, remember, the interval between when you put in the DBS and when it puts in the expiry date is set in the system. There is mine was set to 2 years, but the pin number you just put in the expiry date. Staff incomplete probations, you just put in when the probation is going to end. Remember to take the person off the list. You just click the past probation box. And with the staff incomplete inductions, this one's completely different. There's nothing you really have to do to take someone off the list, as long as they have a induction start and induction end date. Once the day's date passes the end date of the induction, they'll automatically drop off the list. The only thing it will have a problem is if you don't have an end date, or if you don't have a start date. Don't have a start date, it'll take the date that the person first joined. The last one is the appraisals and supervisions. Remember, there's an interval set in the system for appraisals. There's a separate one for supervisions. So they can be different, but it is for the whole system. When someone first joins, it will take the date they joined and take the interval for supervision and say 3 months, that's when they have to do their next supervision. Date they joined, a year maybe to the appraisal, that's when they have to do their appraisal. If they are due both, they will appear twice on your list, one for supervision and one for appraisal. Okay, let's quickly jump to one of the reports. I'm going to go to staff. I'm going to go to staff reports. I'm going to staff missing information. There we go. Okay, so this is showing us people who have things that need to be looked at. For instance, our friend Kenton, I haven't put a payroll number in for him yet. It is showing me, by the way, payroll numbers, name, position name, date of birth, and start date, and if they're currently absent. But down here, look, it says for Philip, his PIN expiry date needs to be updated. His appraisal due date needs to be done. His supervision session needs to be done. If you come down a bit further, see if we find someone something different. There we go. Sarah, she's got no registered professional PIN number. No number has even been entered. I think I saw another one down here earlier. I won't be able to find it now. Something different. Let's see. I'll give up in a second. No professional number again. But yes, anything that's missing or overdue, it will be displayed here. In fact, there's DBS is wrong. The PIN is wrong. Supervision session, appraisal session, all wrong. Okay. Let's jump back now to our presentation because we've gone through all the bits we have to go through, but there is something else I have to tell you. Let's just share the screen. Hopefully I do it properly this time and you can actually see it. So we're hoping to do these regularly. The next session that we're actually going to do is going to be based around managing holidays and absences. So we're going to do a whole load of stuff around that and explain some of the bits you may not quite understand on how that works. But as well as that, CoolCare wants to make sure you have continuous professional development. So whether you are in charge of financing and payroll, rota management, or tracking residents, you can work with our product specialist online or in person. The really important bit about this, though, is did you know that you may be entitled to free training? So we are rolling out some free training sessions, which may be ones that you are entitled to have. What you can do is, if you want to find out about these, you can contact the training team. So you can do that either on training@coolcare4.co.uk or by calling us on the phone number with all the threes in it, just for me, 0113 385 3853. So I just want to thank you for attending, and hopefully next month we might see you on here for the holidays and absences. We're going to keep this channel open, or this web open, until 12:30, just to facilitate you asking some more questions. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about the bit at the beginning. Once you do one thing wrong, it throws you off step completely. Okay, yeah, so hopefully see you on the next one next month.